Hello and welcome to episode 36 of the Women in Manufacturing Association's Hear Her Story podcast. My name is Allison Graylis, president and founder of the Women in Manufacturing Association. In this episode, I connected with Angela Regan, Director of Strategic Business Development at Dassault Systemes and current chair of the Women in Manufacturing Massachusetts chapter. In advance of Earth Day this April, Angela and I talk about the hot topics of sustainability and manufacturing. We're excited for you to join us as we learn more about Angela's career journey and discuss the impact of sustainable strategies and initiatives on the industry. Welcome, Angela.
Oh, thank you, Allison, for such a warm welcome. Very excited to be here and reconnect with you.
Well, we are thrilled to have you as a guest on our Hear Her Story podcast. And you have been such a longtime supporter of WiM. And I'm so excited for others to learn more about you and your journey and all the contributions you've made for manufacturing women today. So we often start off our Hear Her Story podcast with our guests telling us a little bit about yourself, your background. Where did you grow up? What were some early interests and influences on you and your career? So please tell us a little bit about Angela.
Allison, I never envisioned a career in manufacturing growing up. I was raised in a very strict environment. My parents were immigrants from Lithuania. Dad, an aerospace engineer who helped me in math, and I remember him drawing the structure of an airplane, explaining how it can fly. And mom was a high school counselor, heavily involved with Girl Scouts. So in regards to an influence, a very fun fact is that my grandmother helped found the Lithuanian Girl Scouts. She actually met with Lord and Lady Baden-Powell back in 1933. And growing up, I was quite active in scouting and believe my involvement helped set the foundation and motivation in my career path. And like you, Allison, I was an English major. After I graduated from UCLA, I landed in high tech in the telecom industry. And then when that bubble burst, I found myself in a position within a manufacturing software company. I actually went to my first manufacturing facility. It was a whole hog sausage farm. I could not eat meat for at least 3 months, but I was just amazed what they were able to do, reuse every part, talking about lean manufacturing at this facility. So I always had a penchant for how things were made. At this Tennessee facility, I saw what it was like to do continuous improvement and the ability to reuse every part. And since 2002, I have been working with manufacturers.
So that is a 20-year plus career in manufacturing. And gosh, what an interesting introduction to a manufacturing facility that you had. I'm sure that was amazing, as you said, to see kind of processes and technology. But gosh, that's an interesting awakening of kind of some food manufacturing.
Yes.
I love that you talked about your early introduction to Girl Scouts and scouting, because for me, that was a huge influence on and the person I ended up being. It was a great, I think, evidence and a great example of the power of community and forging relationships and the power of kind of supporting one another, even as young girls. So for you, has that shaped at all or influenced how you navigate relationships and support women in your personal and professional lives?
Oh, absolutely, Allison. I certainly think fondly of those days in scouting, but I wanted to mention moving forward how this type of legacy continued, because a very pivotal moment in my career was 8 years ago, back in Madison, Wisconsin, when I was asked to attend the manufacturing leadership conference there. And I believe that's when you and I had met. I was never involved with any career women organizations. I was always in a man's world and just worked as hard as I can to stay ahead. But those 3 days at the workshop in Madison certainly gave me a new purpose. I was ignited, surrounded by like-minded colleagues where I was professionally and personally inspired. This organization has given me a new purpose, not only helping manufacturers improve their operations, but also a new depth in my career where I can support, promote, and inspire women in manufacturing.
That's excellent. And I was so lucky to have crossed paths with you so many years ago in Madison. And I think it's that spirit that I see from our members and leaders in our organization, such as yourself, who really they embody that mantra of helping others, supporting others, being a resource for other women. And I think it's so evident in the relationships you've made since being a part of our organization, and as well just the great work that your chapter in Massachusetts is doing too. So we appreciate all you do. And I think it's so great when I find other like-minded former scouts, because again, I know for me, if I look at those pivotal 3 or 4 or 5 contributing factors to what influenced me most dramatically for the person I am present day, that's definitely one of those contributing factors.
And as a
And
matter of fact, the scouting organization now has a Rosie Riveter badge that we are beginning to get involved with here in Massachusetts. And I believe also WiM is looking to help spearhead this initiative nationally.
definitely, we are, and we have continued to try to investigate how do we intersect more formally with scouting organizations, because, as you know, we hear many times from industry experts and conferences and leaders that early intervention is critical. Having exposure to people at younger ages before they formulated ideas and perceptions of what different things are in terms of career opportunities, it's so important to reach people before 8th grade and in elementary school to showcase what are the careers that you can have of the future. And so if there could be in the future a partnership with organizations and initiatives that are reaching kids and students, and especially young women, it would be phenomenal. So it definitely is something that's still on our radar to try to formalize. And again, it's great that chapters are starting to engage with local scouting groups, because it is, that early intervention that is going to be most significant. And in the research that we've done with Xometry, as well, we have surfaced over the last 3 years consistently that STEM initiatives, STEM programs, and co-op programs are the key drivers, the most successful drivers to get women into careers in manufacturing. So it could be a solution for all of us that could be a game changer. So, as you and I have now worked for 20 years plus in this manufacturing space, there have been a lot of different initiatives that the industry has led and or participated in or been very passionate about. I know for years we've been talking, and you and I have been at similar conferences around digital manufacturing and smart factories. And now some of the biggest initiatives, as we know in our industry, are around ESG. And as we look at these companies, including I'm sure your own, companies are very much prioritizing how do they incorporate sustainable practices and initiatives into their business strategies. Consumers are holding companies and boards and decision makers responsible for doing kind of the just and right things for our environment and for people and wellness. What are some trends that you have seen in the manufacturing industry when it relates to, or as it relates to, sustainable manufacturing? And also, why do you think this is important for companies to integrate sustainability into their strategy?
Well, it's interesting to note that sustainability actually evolved from lean manufacturing back in the 1980s. At that point, it was green manufacturing to recycle, and there was a reuse movement where we were focused on waste reduction and water usage. And back in the 1990s, the focus to reduce carbon footprint was introduced, stemming from climate change concerns. And now sustainability has become a very important issue in how we affect the earth, our planet. And businesses are now embracing circular economy. Manufacturers are striving to go from the linear to circular economies. Sustainability initiatives are evolving where economies must be circular and carbon free. They're looking to transform and simulate their products without a physical prototype. This is going back to what you mentioned, Allison, in digital manufacturing. Businesses are adopting this new technology. The ability to create digital mock-ups of not just products, but factories and production, line designs, as well as supply chain. And now we are even adding artificial intelligence to the mix. By integrating AI in manufacturing, it allows us to use predictive analytics to forecast demand and optimize resource allocations. Organizations are able to develop data strategies that drive efficiency in their operations, supply chain resiliency, and profitability. And AI has the capability to monitor a company's environmental, social, and government practices. AI is becoming a game changer for manufacturers.
So as you look at your own company, I'm sure that you've had this journey. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen without a lot of resources being devoted to this effort, and then as well, having leadership committed to this type of investment. So how is sustainability, or what does sustainability look like for Dassault as a company?
Well, Dassault Systemes likes to see itself as the catalyst 35 years ago in 3D design. In 1981, we were focused on CAD. And 8 years later, we were doing a digital mock-up of an airplane in 3D. And we hit another milestone introducing life cycle management. And the fourth milestone that we had was we started talking about sustainable innovation, where we announced our new purpose on sustainable innovation along with new technologies because we offer a 3D experience platform. As mentioned, there is a strong movement for manufacturers to embrace the circular economy. And at Dassault Systemes, we see this as an urgency to enable with our software capabilities a circular economy. Our customers are able to transform their materials, products, and enterprises. We're helping them to redefine how they design, manufacture, and operate. They are investing now in sustainable materials, reconfiguring their own business models. We're moving from that product economy to the experience economy. We offer a broader value network needs to be considered. The experience economy is meeting that circular economy outlook.
So Angela, as we talk about sustainability for Dassault, obviously you have a supply chain and you have suppliers and partners that you work with as a company. Can you talk a little bit about how sustainability is integrated maybe into those relationships that you have with your suppliers and partners?
I would like to mention that our client sustainability initiatives are driven by regulatory governance and market dynamics. Our portfolio addresses those drivers, and we are even beginning to measure our impact. We are confident that we have a path forward to measure our customers' impact in a verifiable way. Now, not all countries have the same level of priority to drive sustainable transitions. Our strategy is to use the European Union as a model driver, as it has been in the forefront with regulatory changes to stimulate transformation to reach climate neutrality by 2050. And we are known for the virtual twin. We have pioneered virtual twin experiences, helping customer with usage of their product, not just designing it, but to be used efficiently by consumers. Most of the impact of the product is during the usage phase.
Angela, you and I have worked with manufacturing companies and in this industry for a while now. And I know I've seen lots of changes from when I first started. I remember going through my first tours of manufacturing companies, and I would say the majority of them look much different than those first companies I toured. Not only was it the technology, the innovation, how people are kind of better, I think, appreciated and celebrated as a best asset. What have you seen in terms of changes in the manufacturing industry over the last decade plus? And as well, is there some change that you've seen directly within manufacturing, obviously, as it relates to sustainability?
Well, no doubt there is a great transformation happening where manufacturers realize that they need to do something. I too remember going into an aeronautics defense company and saw they were using, those yellow notepads, stacks. They were several feet high with like red ink, notations in them, the change orders. I was completely baffled. And that was quite some time ago. And companies realize that they just can't do this anymore, that they need to be going into a digital world to be able to be more agile and responsive. So technology is certainly going to be taking an even greater role right now. There is a tremendous rise of data, and the ability to use AI will help transform the manufacturing industry. Companies are overloaded with it, and they need to have cross-functional capabilities in their data strategies because back in those days, they were working in silos and they can't do it anymore. They need to collaborate and work together to grow and stay profitable. And that technology is needed to help them in this effort.
And you talk about those technology changes, and it is amazing to see the advances that we've made in manufacturing. And I think you bring up a good point around data. I mean, right now there is this overabundance of a collection of data. And I think companies are, as you talk about lean and efficiencies and operational excellence, it's not figuring out what is the real data that needs to be collected. And then as well, most importantly, what's the use of that data? Because obviously, the collection of the right data can hugely influence smarter decision making and use of resources and investments, and then just that process improvement for how manufacturing happens. So it's been amazing this last 20 years of the changes of kind of, I think, manufacturing companies in particular, their adaptation to embracing data. And though I think it's still an evolution of the how to collect the right data and then how to take action from those data points. So it's exciting. I'm excited to see what the next 20 years looks like, assuming that, we're still connected, or I'm still connected to manufacturing, and it will be exciting to see even more modernization. When you talk about AI, how does that influence as well the sophistication of positions and the changing positions that will be in industry? And then when we look at our lens of women in manufacturing, I'm especially excited because I think it just creates new exciting positions that women could be one of those top populations to fill some of those new positions. So I think it's an exciting time to be in manufacturing. And then as well to look at that sustainability component of how do we manufacture in a safer, smarter, and more eco-conscious way is really exciting as well.
And you bring up a very good point because now we're looking at a new generation, right? They're even calling it the sustainable generation. And we at Dassault Systems are trying to help the students now in school, giving them the ability to mainstream sustainability. We are helping this new generation, giving them the ability to acquire new skills to do design, mechanical engineering, industrial engineering, and mainstreaming the sustainability skills here, not just industry, but eco design, energy efficiency in the factory, and powering a circular economy. It's so important now to be able to provide this type of information. The other night, I was out with my daughter, who's a sustainability engineer, and she was discussing her work and the initiatives she was working on, and her face just lit up because the passion that she has is not only just supporting her workplace, but to work on sustainability initiatives that gives her a sense of purpose and place for society and for the planet. And that's what's happening with the youngest generation right now entering the workforce. They want to have a purpose in what they are doing.
So very true. And I think if you look at recent studies, that is one of the key drivers of when this newest generation or these youngest generations in the workforce or those folks looking to get into the workforce, one of the key things they're looking for is to work at a place that cares about the environment, that cares about its impact on the communities where it's doing business and cares about its people. And so companies, I think it's an imperative if you want to be an employer of choice, you have to have a plan for sustainability. It has to be something that is a top priority. And what we talk to manufacturing companies about a lot, which is that communications piece. So many companies are doing great work in their communities and on sustainability and in ESG, but they're not sharing it with their consumers and those people that go to their websites who may want to check them out as a place to work. So we want companies to be proud of the work that they're doing. And obviously this journey won't change, but like your daughter, so many younger professionals, and I think even our age groups as well, we care about that legacy we're going to leave for the environment. We don't want to leave the world a worse place than when we first entered it. And so, I remember the days of being in elementary school and the big focus was on hairspray and the things that we were emitting into the environment. And it was something that was really strongly educated to us as younger generations of we have to be cautious with what we're doing to the environment. And I think now present day, it is such a priority to be addressing, especially with manufacturing, as we know that for years the industry got a bad rap on its impact on how we live and the environment. And so to see it being now a leading force of changing the way that we produce and manufacture things that are used by consumers is really exciting.
It is. We are evolving, and it's just amazing all the innovative products that are coming out now that adhere to this new vision of a sustainable, circular economy.
Definitely. So, I know you've been involved obviously in this industry, and even prior to this, obviously, when you're working professionally, I'm sure you had some great mentors and some great leaders and supervisors who impacted your career. So, is there one piece of advice or one shared thing that was passed along to you by one of those people that touched your career that you would love to share with our audience?
Oh, absolutely. I have one pearl of wisdom that I would love to share with the audience, and it's quite simple. Get out of your comfort zone. It's simple, but very hard to do. And one way to do this is to get involved within an association, an organization that is outside of your own company that is relevant to your business. It will keep you updated with industry trends. You will meet other colleagues that you are able to share your experiences with, your trials and tribulations, and new doors will open up for you. And you'll be able to gain a new level of knowledge and insight. And so, a fine example for me is working with women in manufacturing. It has kept me involved in a multitude of different fronts, whether or not I'm organizing a plant tour, helping a workshop to mentor people, career development, and then, of course, the networking is just phenomenal. So, yes, get out of your comfort zone. Get involved. If you're asked to be on a panel, do it. You never know what will happen.
That's great advice. And I think that is obviously why WiM exists, is to help create that place where women can go for networking and to go external to their company and maybe their personal network to make new connections. And it is that power of connections that for me professionally has been transformative. And I know for so many other women as well, it's that person you sit next to at a conference. It's not sitting with the people that you work with a day in, day out when you go to an event and make new connections, because it's that one connection that you could have that could have this huge ripple effect in your career and your professional life, as well as even maybe your personal life. So it's really important for people to get out of their comfort zone. I always say to people that it's so easy when you're especially at a conference or event to go after, final session and go pull up in your hotel room and hop back online and just do work for hours upon hours. But force yourself to go down to that dinner or to that networking event, because it's invaluable, the connections that you can make. And we hope that we as an organization can help facilitate that. And I know, again, Angela and I met at an industry event, and our relationship has now been almost a decade long, and it's been impacted me. And it's all of those relationships that we make at places that we go that sometimes aren't always comfortable or aren't always easy sometimes.
Yes, and I call it the gift that keeps on giving.
It is so true. And I think we females are really good at, being open to relationships, and then as well wanting to pay it forward. I mean, I think so much of my day, and probably your day and week, is spent making introductions or passing along information. We want to help each other. And that is the goal of why this organization exists. We want to help women be successful and advance and know that they're supported, that they're not alone, because none of us can do it alone. So you are such a great ambassador for that, and we appreciate your continued participation and passion around women.
Oh, thank you very much, Allison, and right back at you. So I am very grateful to be part of a Women in Manufacturing, and there's just so much to look forward to, especially Summit in Boston, October.
Yes, I was going to say we have to do a shout out for, not to make this a commercial by any means, but WiM first started with a summit, which is our big annual meeting. And this year we're going to Angela's home state and her chair. She is chair of that chapter there within Massachusetts, but we're heading to Massachusetts for our 14th annual summit. We're just a year away from our 15th annual, and it is October 6th through the 9th at the Heinz Convention Center in downtown Boston. And we are so excited. We are right now securing our plant tours that we plan to showcase. We will have 60 plus educational tracks and sessions. And we are right now also securing our lineup of inspirational keynote speakers. So we encourage anyone listening who's from that region, and or if you're not from that region, I would say the majority of our people come to Summit from outside of the state where we're hosting. So, make your plans to participate. Registration's open, and then the agenda will continue to evolve and be online, so you can check out which tracks you want to participate in. So we are excited to come to your home state, and Boston is a great place for manufacturing, and excited to showcase some of those outstanding manufacturers and leaders in that region.
Yes, come and check out what's happening in our backyard here in Massachusetts.
For
Very
sure.
exciting. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you. Well, Angela, it was such a treat to have you as a guest on Hear Her Story. And again, I think you delivered great insights as it relates to some of these new technologies as we talked about sustainability. And just thanks again for being such a great friend to WiM.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you for listening to Hear Her Story, a podcast produced by the Women in Manufacturing Association. Be sure to share, review, and subscribe to Hear Her Story on Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen.